Please like and subscribe for more videos like this.
In the early morning light of 2009, a family of three, a husband, a wife, and their young daughter, drove their pickup truck deep into the remote, rugged wilderness of the Sans Bois Mountains in Oklahoma. They were seemingly on a short trip, perhaps to look at a piece of land they were thinking of buying. But this drive would be their last. They would venture into that dense, quiet forest and vanish without a trace. When their truck was discovered days later, it seemed to defy all logic. Inside, investigators found everything you'd expect them to take with them. Their wallets, their identifications, and their cell phones were all left behind. But most bizarrely, they also left behind a staggering amount of cash, and their beloved family dog, still inside the locked truck, weak but alive. 4 years would pass in near total silence. And then, a chance discovery by a hunter would finally bring the family home. But the discovery of their remains wouldn't provide any answers. In fact, it would only deepen the mystery, turning a strange disappearance into one of the most baffling and unsettling unsolved cases in modern history. The Jamison family lived a quiet, almost reclusive life in the small town of Eufaula, Oklahoma. There was Bobby Dale Jamison, his wife Sherilyn, and their bright-eyed 6-year-old daughter, Madyson. They were a close-knit unit, often keeping to themselves, living in a modest rural home surrounded by the wide-open spaces of the Oklahoma countryside. Bobby and Sherilyn had faced their share of hardships. Bobby had been in a serious car accident years earlier that left him with chronic pain, making it difficult for him to work consistently. Sherilyn suffered from bipolar disorder and deep bouts of depression. Despite these struggles, they were a family. Friends and the few relatives they kept in contact with described them as private people, but not necessarily fearful ones. They were just a family trying to make their way, dealing with their personal demons in the solitude of their home. But in the months leading up to their disappearance in the fall of 2009, something had changed. A shadow had fallen over the Jamison household, and a strange, creeping paranoia began to take hold. The family that had once just been private started acting like they were being watched, like they were in imminent danger from forces no one else could perceive. This growing sense of dread began to manifest in very specific and unusual ways. Sherilyn, in particular, became convinced that their home was not just a house, but a place inhabited by spirits. She told her pastor that she had seen entities, ghosts of a family that had previously lived and died there, walking on their roof at night. She even claimed that one of these spirits, a young girl named Emily, would speak to her and to Madyson. She started reading what she called the Satanic Bible, not out of worship, but as a guide to try and understand and combat the forces she believed were plaguing her family. Bobby, meanwhile, developed his own set of fears. He wasn't concerned with spirits. His paranoia was directed at the living. He told his family and friends that people were plotting against them, that there were dangerous individuals out to get them. He never specified who these people were or why they would want to harm his family, but his conviction was absolute. He and Sherilyn started packing and unpacking their truck erratically, as if preparing to flee at a moment's notice, only to change their minds. They would load their belongings, then unload them in a cycle of indecision and anxiety. No one else saw what they saw. No one else felt the danger they felt. But for Bobby, Sherilyn, and little Madyson, the threat, whether supernatural or human, was terrifyingly real. Shortly before they vanished, in a moment that would later become a crucial and deeply unsettling piece of the puzzle, the Jamison family recorded a video. It was captured on their home security camera, pointed at the front of their house. The footage is grainy, silent, and profoundly disturbing. For more than 20 minutes, Bobby and Sherilyn are seen moving back and forth from their house to their pickup truck. They move slowly, methodically, but without any apparent purpose. They don't seem to be packing anything of significance. At one point, they both sit on the front seat of the truck, side by side. For an unnervingly long time, They just sit there in complete silence. There is no conversation between them. They display no discernible emotion on their faces. Their movements are stiff, almost trance-like. Madyson is also seen in the footage, but she seems to exist in a separate world, playing nearby, seemingly oblivious to her parents' strange behavior. They are just three people, staring out at something beyond the camera's view, or perhaps staring at nothing at all. The video offers no clues, no explanation for their behavior. It only adds another layer of profound strangeness to their final days. On October 8, 2009, Bobby, Sherilyn, and Madyson climbed into their white pickup truck and drove away from their home. They were headed towards the Sans Bois Mountains, a remote and rugged area of southeastern Oklahoma. They had told a family member they were going to look at a 40-acre plot of land they were considering buying, a small container home they wanted to place on it, and escape. It was a short trip, just an hour or two from their home. They drove down the winding, unpaved roads, deeper and deeper into the wilderness, the dense trees of the forest closing in around them. They were last seen by a rural landowner who saw their truck pass by, and then, nothing. They were never seen alive again. 8 days later, a group of deer hunters stumbled upon the Jamisons' pickup truck, abandoned on a dirt road in the middle of nowhere. The discovery marked the beginning of a search, and the beginning of a mystery that would perplex investigators for years to come. When investigators from the Latimer County Sheriff's Office arrived at the scene, what they found inside the vehicle was not the aftermath of a violent crime, but a scene of pure, baffling abandonment. The truck was locked from the inside. Perched on the dashboard were the family's wallets containing their driver's licenses and credit cards. Their cell phones were also there, untouched. But the most shocking discovery was tucked away under the driver's seat, a bank bag containing over $32,000 in cash, a life-changing amount of money just sitting there. Why would a family clearly struggling financially abandon such a large sum of cash? But the strangest discovery of all was curled up in the back of the truck, weak and severely malnourished, but alive. It was the family's dog, Maisie. She had somehow survived for over a week with no food or water, waiting for her family to return. Her presence was a haunting sign that the family hadn't planned to be gone for long. An extensive search of the surrounding area was launched immediately, but it yielded nothing. There were no signs of a struggle around the truck. There was no blood. There were no footprints leading away into the dense woods. There was simply no explanation. For 4 long years, the case went cold. The forest held its secrets, and the fate of the Jamison family remained a complete unknown. The theories swirled. Were they involved with drugs? Did they run afoul of a local cult? Did they simply get lost and succumb to the elements? Or did they stage their own disappearance? None of the theories seemed to fit all the bizarre facts of the case. And then, in November of 2013, 4 years and 1 month after the family was last seen, a group of deer hunters walking through a remote, rocky area of the forest, about 2.5 miles from where the truck was found, made a grim discovery. They found skeletal remains. The remains were scattered across a small area, exposed to the elements. Forensic analysis soon confirmed the worst fears of the family and investigators. The bones belonged to Bobby, Sherilyn, and Madyson Jamison. The family had been found, but the condition of the remains only deepened the mystery. Their bones were scattered, likely by animals, over a wide area. Some were missing entirely. The medical examiner was unable to find any signs of trauma, no bullet holes, no broken bones that would indicate a violent struggle. Because of the advanced state of decomposition, no definitive cause of death could be determined for any of them. They had died, but how and why remained a complete mystery. The discovery of their bodies answered the question of where the Jamisons were, but it left all the other, more important questions completely unanswered. Why would a family abandon their vehicle with everything they owned inside? Why leave the money? A sum of $32,000 would have been more than enough to start a new life somewhere else. Why leave the dog? The thought of them willingly abandoning their beloved pet to starve is almost unthinkable. And perhaps the most pressing question of all, why would they leave the relative safety of their truck and walk 2.5 miles deeper into the unforgiving wilderness, with no supplies, to a remote spot where they would ultimately die? The spot where they were found was not on any trail. It was a difficult, uphill trek through dense brush and rocky terrain. Were they running from something real, a tangible threat that chased them from their truck? Or were they fleeing something only they could see, a product of their shared paranoia and delusions? Was it murder, a murder-suicide, or a tragic accident fueled by mental illness? Every answer just leads to more questions. The Jamison family disappearance remains unsolved. The Oklahoma State Bureau of Investigation officially lists the cause and manner of their deaths as undetermined. The forest where they died keeps its silence, and the bizarre collection of clues they left behind, the cache, the dog, the silent video, tells a story that makes no sense. It is a haunting testament to the fact that sometimes the most terrifying mysteries are the ones that offer no answers at all, leaving only a quiet, unsettling echo in the empty woods. If you want more stories like this, subscribe to Silent Secret Stories, because every secret has a story.